Ryan, you need a mic. Put Hunter in the middle.
Hi, my name's Hunter, and I'm in a Ryan
we're
sandwich.
Sitting down. You want to take a hit?
Got the hookah hooked up.
Wait, so are we just talking?
Hey guys, Ryan from MACkite here. Today I'm with Hunter and Ryan from Foil Drive as well. And we're just gonna talk a little bit about the Foil Drive and how we really have loved using it to learn how to pump, how to get better at pumping, try out a bunch of wings. Just kind of a new use that maybe not a lot of people think about when they get a foil drive or see a foil drive out there. Now I know, Ryan, you also do some kite foiling, some wing foiling, para, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, you do all the foiling, right?
Yeah,
and Hunter does a lot of wake foil, dock start, and obviously
Anything
foil drive.
that doesn't involve the wind, really.
Yeah. So, and I do all the foiling too. So we all have a lot of experience foiling. And we were talking a minute ago how we all really enjoy using the foil drive. I would say the biggest thing is you fall and you're right back up practicing again.
Yeah.
Like just instant.
Yeah, when I'm going dock starting, you know, I'll go out pretty far and then, you know, I might get some seaweed, I might mess up, and then I'm out there and I have to swim on my small little board all the way back home, and it's a long, tiring, sad swim home. So it's nice with the foil drive. If I'm pumping, I fall, I can get right back up and pumping again, no matter where I am in the water, and I can get back to shore much easier than if I make a mistake when I'm on the dock. So I really like that with the foil drive.
And the other thing too is dock starting is pretty technical. Even for me, I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm at like a 50% make ratio, unless I've really kind of dialed in my setup. And every time you have to swim back to the dock, flip it over, climb back up, and it's also kind of daunting to commit to jumping onto a foil, especially if you have never really foiled before. And then once you kind of get your feet, you have to be able to pump away. But with the foil drive, it's really cool because you can kind of stay motoring the whole time. So you'll just get going, you'll go to pump, you'll kind of shuffle back a little bit to get more leverage and get high. But as soon as you get lower again, you can re-engage on the motor and just get those reps in. You don't have to swim back, reset, all that stuff. Whereas any other form of foiling, pretty much you'd have to wait for the boat to circle or the jet ski to circle back and tow up again. And then, you don't have that power source built into it to where you could just keep trying and repeating it. And the other really cool thing is the key to pumping is staying high on the mast and being efficient. That is the biggest issue that people have with pumping is they'll kind of half speed, they'll pump, they'll get lower, 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 and then as soon as the board hits the water, you're pretty much toast. But with the foil drive, having that pod kind of closer to the board forces you to have to stay high on the mast. And as soon as, sometimes when I'm teaching people, you keep the motor running, and as with each pump, if you get too low, you can hear the motor catch the water again, and that's an auditory indicator of all right, I'm getting lower, got to get back up again. And it's kind of a constant feedback loop where you can really gain that experience of knowing how high you are, because that's another big thing. Most people don't get as high because they don't realize oh my gosh, I could get way higher than I think.
Right,
So,
I've got all this mass to work with.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what you said about being able to engage the motor. You don't even necessarily have to fall with the foil drive to restart and start pumping again.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you come down to the motor out of it, and you're within seconds you're back up starting to pump rather than falling and restarting. So it can be really quick, and you can get a lot more reps in. Another thing, going back to dock starting, like you were saying, one of the big advantages to foil drive, and really I would say a lot of the different types of foiling over dock starting, is you're already up on the board balanced, right?
Yeah.
If you're dock starting, you're hopping on the board, you might not nail your jump.
You have to get your feet perfectly on it every time.
When you hop on there, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Whereas with the foil drive, and also if you're winging or kite foiling, you're up there, you're balanced too, so you can practice. But the disadvantage, obviously, like you said, with winging and kite foiling, if you kite foiling's hard because there's only so much pumping you can do without putting tension on the line.
Yeah.
But wing foiling, if you come down and you crash, sometimes you gotta wait for a gust, or it just is if you're practicing that way, it's going to wear you out really quick trying to get up with the wing constantly to learn how to pump.
For sure. And then with all that too, I mean, we've kind of touched on it, but you get tired when you're pumping really easily. I feel like it's probably the most tiring form of foiling. But with this foil drive, when you re-engage the foil, it's kind of your break period. So if you get tired, you can just come down back to motoring, motor around for a little bit, and you're still having fun. You're just like e-foiling around. And then when you're ready to go again, you caught your breath again, you can go right back up. So it's just that constant repetition, but also saving yourself so you're not huffing and puffing, getting your heart rate up, and then having to swim back to the dock or whatever. So, yeah.
And you touched on like winging with pumping, like, you know, that is a good way to learn, but generally in conditions that you're winging in, there's, you know, bumpy water or other kind of things affecting the foil. So it's harder to isolate just that movement. And especially because you're kind of holding the wing out and stuff like that, there's more going on. Whereas with the foil drive, you could just focus on that one thing, which is just kind of shuffling back, getting high and just pumping. And then as you get lower, like as you said, just, you know, get back on the motor, or just keep the motor spinning the whole time. So as soon as you do get low, it doesn't kind of create that drag and you touch down. That's another big thing. Like a lot of people, like when they go to pump, they'll just let off the power entirely. And if you, like, you might get a couple good pumps, but once you get too low, if you're not quick to get on the throttle again, you're just gonna, like, you know, touch down and then fall, just because of the pod being there. With the integrated mast, it's actually way less drag and you can kind of dig yourself out of it depending on what foil you're using. But it's always easier to just keep it spinning, and then, you know, audio too, like you can hear the motor re-engage, and that's like, all right, I'm getting too low, and it kind of just brings you back up again.
I also like to, when I'm getting ready to go into the pump position, I like to almost give it a little extra gas, just a little extra boost to get that ollie up that we've talked about. Like, you just press it a little more and then you are easier into that ollie up to where you're not using the motor. So I think that's a big
and I think that can help, like giving that little extra speed boost. If you're in your stance on the board and then you give an extra speed boost and you don't necessarily move your feet, you just shift your weight forward, because when you come off the motor, you're gonna want to shift back a bit, right?
Yep.
So if you're just giving it a boost before you ollie up and you just shift your weight, like your feet are a lot closer to where you want them, back towards the back of the board.
For sure.
Definitely helps out.
And then also when learning it, it helps, I think, when getting off of motor and you just do a couple glides, maybe touch the motor back down, take off again, just working on that pop up above the motor. I think that's one of the biggest learning curves to pumping with foil drive, is getting that initial pop up. So it can help just gliding, touching motor back, working on that glide. So then when you're comfortable, then you can get the few pumps in.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you kind of have like a half pop up, or it's like you don't get really high on the mast, you go to pump and you'll already dip the motor into the water. Like that, the key, again, like as we were saying, is if you can really get that thing high on the mast just by learning how to like get up and glide, that's like your potential energy. And the more you can kind of stay high, the more room you have to kind of sink it with each pump and stuff like that. And same with wave riding or downwinding or any sort of like foil drive technique, or even foiling in general. That same motion of kind of kicking the thing up and getting high will apply to all those things. Like
it'll be beneficial for everything. Like exactly. Like the first thing I would teach someone when they're want to learn how to pump or ride a wave is learning how to shift your weight back and just get up and get that motor out of the water. For sure. Also, another thing with it is I think it extends your session, right? Because you're not using as much battery. You can kind of go on a little adventure if you really want to. I like to use this example. I was at this really cool like national park the other day, and it was along these huge rock cliffs, and I was with my girlfriend, and she was on a max, I was on a slim, so I was actually like having to save my battery a little more, but I was just pumping most of the time to conserve that battery. And I was making it a lot further than I would if I was just motoring around. So it was cool. I got to experience more, be on foil more, just because of the pumping aspect of it.
Yeah, and being able to practice that in flat water on the foil drive and getting more efficient and better at pumping it'll help you extend your sessions when you get out into the waves and
100%.
swell too, right? Because you're gonna be, with a little better skill at pumping, you're gonna be choosing to pump from bump to bump, or maybe choosing to pump back out in the lineup instead of re-engaging with the motor every time. So just all around, it makes you a lot better foiler.
For sure.
And another thing too is, you know, where you have the pod mounted really affects like how easy it is to pump. Like even like for an experienced rider, if you have the pod at like 25, which is one of the lower settings down from the board, your window of like kind of glide without the pod interfering is a lot smaller than if you had it at, let's say 15. For most people, like 20 centimeters is the most popular. But if you can, you know, if you have the luxury of having another motor cable and you want to go ride in waves or pump and all that, having like a 15 is a lot easier because you just have way more wiggle room to kind of glide and stuff like that.
For sure. You have a smaller margin of error with that, with that pod lower down.
Well, guys, this has been Ryan and Hunter with MACkite. Ryan with foil drive here, just talking about not necessarily a new use for the foil drive, but maybe something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot that we've really enjoyed using it for. And I think it's elevated all our games foiling, right? We can all speak to that. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to drop those below. If you like this video, hit the like button, give us a subscribe. Hope to catch you guys on the water.